Sometimes the simplest acts of kindness set off the wildest chain reactions, you know what I mean? One minute you're out on the trail, just a man trying to breathe a little easier under all that Colorado sky. And the next, you're cradling a stranger's child with a broken leg, realizing you might be the only lifeline she's got. That's how it started for me. Cal Porter, single dad, ex-firefighter, guy with more scars on the inside than you can see from the outside. I didn't wake up that morning planning to play hero, and I sure as hell didn't expect the mess that followed. But the truth is, sometimes fate just drops a test in your lap, and all you can do is show up, take the hit, and hope you come out better on the other side. The way I see it, Colorado has a way of reminding you how small you really are. The foothills around Millbrook, where I ended up after Sarah died, are wild and raw, stitched together by trails older than memory. And mornings here are painted gold by sunlight that almost makes you believe in second chances. My kid, Jake, he's 8, pure dynamite and curiosity, always 2 steps ahead of me, always hungry for more. That morning, he was already talking my ear off about pancakes and homework and whether I'd keep my promise to take him hiking before the snow came in. I watched him stuffing his face at the table, syrup dripping, eyes lit up by the idea of adventure. His mother's spirit alive in him even though she'd been gone 2 years. Sometimes it hurt to look at him. Sometimes he was the only thing keeping me going. But life keeps you moving, right? My phone buzzed with a text from work. Hardware store, nothing glamorous. But it paid the bills, and that was that. I had to hustle out the door, hand off Jake to Mrs. Patterson, the world's kindest neighbor, and let the day carry me along. That's just how it is in Millbrook. Everyone knows your business. Everyone waves from the porch, and if you're lucky, you get by on small kindnesses and the hope that tomorrow might sting a little less than yesterday. You ever notice how it's the little interruptions that change everything? At lunch, I always made time to meet Jake outside school, just to see his face break into that wild grin, reminding me there's more to life than just surviving. But that day, he blindsided me with questions about my old job. Firefighting. Why I left. What was the scariest fire? Did I ever save anyone? I could see in his eyes he wanted a hero. But I'd spent 2 years trying to forget the day I lost his mother and learned the hardest truth. Sometimes you do everything right and still lose what matters most. We'll talk, I told him, buying time, already dreading the conversation. By the weekend, I promised him a hike. Cascade Falls Trail, nothing too gnarly but enough to make him feel like he'd earned his stripes. The aspens were lit up like fire, gold against the evergreens, and for a minute I let myself believe I was doing okay. We'd barely made it a mile when the world turned sharp, a child's voice screaming for help, the kind of sound that slices right through your chest and tells you nothing else matters. All my old training kicked in. Move fast, stay calm, don't think, just do. Emma Winslow, 9 years old, leg pinned under a fallen aspen. Panic in her eyes, but brave as hell. I splinted her leg with my shirt and some branches. Jake standing by, watching me work, as if I really was that hero he hoped for. We carried her out together, step by agonizing step. Jake leading the way, calling out every root and rock like his life depended on it. When we finally got Emma to the hospital, my arms were shaking and my mind was spinning. But Jake looked at me like I'd just moved a mountain. And for the first time in a long while, I believed I might still have some good left in me. That's where Natalie enters the story, Emma's mom. All sharp edges, softened by worry, more put together than anyone has a right to be in the middle of a crisis. She thanked me like I'd saved her world, tried to pay me for what I'd done, and I shut her down fast. That's not how I was raised, and it's sure as hell not why I helped. But looking in her eyes, I felt something I hadn't felt in years, a connection. Maybe even the spark of possibility. The weeks that followed slipped by in the strange rhythm of new friendships and old routines. Natalie brought Emma by the store to thank me. Purple cast. Handmade card, the works. We stood in the hardware aisle, her daughter clutching my hand, and it hit me how easy it was to fall into conversation with Natalie. She wasn't just grateful. She was real, curious about my life, kind to Jake, unafraid to ask hard questions. Pretty soon, Saturday afternoons turned into knot-tying lessons in my backyard. Emma and Jake giggling in the grass while Natalie and I swapped stories about single parenthood, loss, and trying to build something steady on shaky ground. You ever feel the universe shifting under your feet? That's how it was when Natalie and I started sharing dinners, stories, secrets. Her past as a single mom with more than her fair share of regrets. Mine as a man still patching the holes in his heart. She let her guard down, trusted me with her worries, and I started to hope for more. A real family, a new beginning. Maybe even a second chance at love. Jake was happier than I'd seen him since Sarah died, running wild with Emma, asking questions I actually wanted to answer. Then the world tilted again. A camping trip gone sideways, a helicopter roaring, and out of nowhere, Natalie called away by an emergency she couldn't explain. She left in a rush. Secrets thick in the air, and for days afterward, all Jake could do was ask when Emma would come back. I started to wonder, who was this woman, really? What kind of life did she lead when she wasn't making pancakes in my kitchen or learning to build fires in the woods? I got my answer when Jake found a Forbes magazine at the library. She'd spent weeks letting me believe she was someone else, playing at ordinary life, while running an empire I couldn't even imagine. I felt stupid, betrayed, angry in ways I couldn't put into words. I shut her out, tried to shield Jake from the fallout. But the truth is, you can't protect your kid from everything. Not from heartbreak, not from hope. Natalie reached out, asked for a chance to explain. We met at the diner, old grievances simmering between us like the coffee left on the burner too long. She told me her truth, how money and power had become a prison, how she'd come to Millbrook searching for herself, for something real, for a way to remember what mattered. I wanted to believe her, and part of me did. But trust, once broken, doesn't mend easy. All I could do was take it slow, let Jake and Emma keep their friendship, try to piece together what was honest in all that pretending. Life went on. Until one night, a call came in, a missing child. Emma gone from Mountain View Lodge, storm clouds rolling in, the clock ticking down. Jake helped guide the search, remembering Emma's secret hideout by Eagle Point. We climbed into the teeth of the storm, searching for signs, boot prints, scraps of rope tied in knots I'd taught her, hope flickering like the last light before dawn. We didn't find Emma in the cave, but we found proof she'd been there, proof she was still fighting, still brave, still out there somewhere, waiting to be found. As we prepared to push deeper into the wild, the storm raging overhead, I looked at Natalie, her face streaked with rain, eyes shining with fear and love, and realized that, for better or worse, this was the moment that would define us. Not money, not secrets, not the hurt we'd handed each other along the way. Just a handful of people who refused to give up, searching for hope in the dark, determined to bring a child home. And maybe, just maybe, that's all any of us can do. Keep showing up, keep searching, keep believing that the most important things in life aren't the ones we plan for, but the ones we're brave enough to fight for.